One of the biggest elements of JoJolion is the mystery aspect of the part, which is very interesting to see from Araki as it hasn't really been done before, at least not to this degree. However, it can be torture for the many fans that are reading this part every month, as we're having to wait a long time to get any answers. On the brighter side, this can make the payoff all the more worthwhile, which is evident in the arcs featuring Tamaki Damo, which are chapters 47 to 55. These arcs have quickly become fan favourites, so without further ado, let's look at why they work. The first couple chapters are pretty entertaining as we see Norisuke's displeasure with Damo, from him breaking chairs to turning out to be bald, despite being 23. From his appearance we can tell that something's up with him, and this concern only grows as his stand slowly takes over the household. The build up to seeing the power in action has good progression as we see the aftermath of Kyo and then the initial effects with Joshu. This particular scene is impactful as the repeated emphasis of the prince being focused on up to this point makes us realise the danger of the situation, as essentially the entire cast are doomed to be incapacitated by this power. When Damo drops his facade, we can tell he's one of the more important villains we've met so far, through his extensive knowledge of the rock humans. As well as this, the exchange he has with Norisuke does a good job of demonstrating his ruthlessness through his unique torture methods. JoJo's had its fair share of twisted individuals, but Damo is so haunting with his threats that the situation is as grim as it could get. The entire scene is also very well paced, giving us the long-awaited Josuke backstory as Damo gives us pieces of information. Instead of giving us the entire fight in one go, which may honestly make it seem quite underwhelming, adding parts of the backstory over time does a great job of furthering his character. By showing us how prevalent he was in Josefumi and Kira's downfall, it really reinforces how dire the situation currently is, as well as showing off some more of his personality. The small fight he has against Killer Queen does a good job of showing his power as well, as he takes the stand down with ease. The reason it's so effective is because we are already well aware of Killer Queen's power thanks to part 4, so it's good that Damo ended up fighting Kira and not Josefumi, as it wouldn't have had the same impact. In the short amount of time we were introduced to Kira and Josefumi, they managed to solidify themselves as two of the best characters of the part. Josefumi in particular has such a compelling reason for his actions that ties in with his backstory in such a perfect way that he comes across as an extremely likeable character. The friendship he forms with Kira is very believable, and I found that the two worked very well together with some pretty hype moments. I was also very impressed to see how many old characters appeared, tying in well with the backstory. Araki is very good at forgetting about things mentioned earlier, so seeing Ojiro turn up more than 4 years later was a nice touch. The backstory does a great job of getting us to feel some real hatred towards this villain after seeing him kill Kira. Because of this, I'm very satisfied with the result of this arc. Hato coming out of nowhere to attack was a perfect way to show off one of the final stands of the family, and it was a nice surprise as it didn't seem like she had a stand at all. We see a glimpse of her stand to know that she can step up to the plate like any of the other Higashikatas, and leaves us excited to see more of her in the future. Josuke killing Damo in the end is very gratifying because of the personal tie he has with him, so I was very pleased to see how he ignored all of his bullshit and smashed his head in. So there you go, a memorable villain tied in with an engaging story is why the arc works. Thanks for watching folks, I'll catch you later.